The doctor's words hung in the air like smoke. About her baby. This is, well, my chest locked. My hands clamped on my daughter's shoulders. She looked at me, confused, innocent, trusting. The screen showed more than it should. Details I wasn't meant to understand, but did. A flicker of recognition in the doctor's eyes told me what his words avoided. Her husband hadn't come to a single appointment. Not once. Always working late, always too busy. I had sat through them all. Every heartbeat, every scan. I knew the patterns of a family man's excuses when they began to rot. But this moment, this pause, was different. It wasn't about absence, it was about truth. I walked my daughter out of the room, holding her close. My face was calm, my mind wasn't. The suspicion rooted itself quickly. Her husband's distance. The way he looked at her belly, not with pride, but discomfort. As if every kick reminded him of something he didn't want to face. At dinners, he checked his phone instead of her eyes. When she spoke about baby names, he nodded without listening. He touched nothing, no crib, no folded clothes, no future. But my daughter believed. She still called him supportive. She still excused him. I said nothing. I only observed. Years of being lied to had trained me. Silence is the best listener. I watched the way he lingered at the door after calls, how his messages arrived with the flicker of a smile, never for her. I smelled perfume on his jacket that wasn't hers. One evening, she showed me a picture of him at work, a team photo. I noticed the same perfume on the woman standing too close to him. The lie wasn't hidden, it was flaunted. And the baby, my grandchild, had just been caught in the crossfire. I started quietly. I followed. I noted schedules. I tracked calls. My daughter never knew. I shielded her from my shadow work. His nights stretched too long, his explanations too thin. I pulled his phone records. Late-night calls to the same number. Daily messages. Hundreds. I visited the hospital again, alone this time. I asked the doctor questions my daughter wouldn't. Blood type, genetic markers, subtle discrepancies whispered in clinical terms. I knew enough to stitch the truth together. The child wasn't his. The knowledge sat inside me like ice. I didn't rage, I didn't confront. I built, piece by piece, a wall of proof. DNA samples lifted from a glass he carelessly left behind. Results rushed to a lab I trusted. When the file came back, it confirmed what the silence in my chest already knew. I waited for him in the living room one night. The house was dark, except for a single lamp. He walked in late, as usual, slipping off his shoes like a thief. He froze when he saw me. On the table sat the envelope. Thick, heavy, his name written across it. "Open it," I said. He hesitated. His eyes darted to the stairs, where my daughter slept, still dreaming of loyalty. "Open it." He obeyed. His hands shook. The papers spilled out, clinical and merciless. DNA reports, records, photographs. He read enough before his face collapsed. This isn't... I cut him off with a glance. You knew. You abandoned her anyway. You left her carrying a truth you never had the courage to face. He sank into the chair, broken. I stayed standing, cold, silent. I didn't shout, I didn't strike him. I told him exactly what would happen. You will confess. To her. Not tomorrow, now. You will tell her you knew the child wasn't yours, that you played along until your guilt suffocated you. And then you will leave. His lips trembled. If I tell her, she'll know the truth anyway, because I'll tell her myself. The words landed harder than any blow. He saw it in my eyes. There was no bargaining, no escape. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You thought you were avoiding responsibility, but you've built yourself a cage, and tonight I locked the door. He broke. Tears, shaking hands, a man stripped bare. By morning, my daughter's world had shattered. He confessed just as I ordered. He packed his bags, his silence louder than any apology. She wept in my arms, asking why, how, what she had done wrong. I told her nothing. Some truths are too poisonous to pass on. The child was still hers, still innocent. I walked out to the porch, lit a cigarette I hadn't touched in years, and let the smoke bleed into the dawn. Revenge wasn't fire tonight. It wasn't fury. It was exposure. The kind that leaves no shadows to hide in. He lost everything, not because I destroyed him, but because I forced him to face the truth he ran from. I didn't smile, I didn't celebrate. I only breathed. Because sometimes power isn't in what you take, it's in what you leave behind. Final line. He thought betrayal would bury her, but it buried him instead, and I was the one holding the shovel.